It's crazy.
Yeah. So Ja, back in the news, man.
Back in the
Back
news
in the news.
again, bro.
But
For a
it's
different
this
reason this time.
for a
For a
different
different
reason
reason this
this
time.
time. There's a different reason this time. So the police visited Ja's home this week to do a wellness check on him because of
Hmm.
cryptic IG posts that he was making. Sticks, what you think about the police checking up on Ja and this whole situation that we're now in because of Ja and I hate I hate saying he's trying to be a gangster. I just bad because of the bad decisions that Ja has made.
He and I put it as the title of our video this past week, man. As Ja Morant is the most wannabe gangster superstar the world has ever seen. But this is a different type of tone that we're talking about Ja today, because this has more so to do with like his mental health. And we've talked about mental health a few times on this channel, and Ja is no exception to the things that he's going through that could be messing with his mental health. He's no exception. So I'm praying for Ja Morant, because the things that he's doing and the people that are around him, because I say he has a lot of yes man and a lot of bad influence around him last week when we talked about Ja.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think his world right now is coming in around him, so to speak. And he doesn't know what to do. He
Mm-hmm.
he knows that he's a role model, and he knows that he should be that role model for these kids out here that love him, so he can keep his endorsement, so he can be the best basketball player that he can be. But he's also trying to appeal to that small circle of friends that he has around him, that want him to go out there and throw money and be in the strip clubs and listen to the gangster rap and flash the guns and be able to bear arms, which he has the right to do.
Right.
But it's one of those things where he doesn't know which way to go, and I think he's a confused kid right now.
Mm-hmm.
And since a lot of things are happening to him and he's being talked about negatively in the media, and he has this negative persona around him right now, that he doesn't know which way to go. And Ja, he just needs to just sit back and analyze things and say, okay, what is most important to me, and how can I go about reaching that goal? Because right now, dude is lost, dog. And he was those cryptic tweets. I saw the tweets. I follow him on Instagram. I saw the story, not
Mm-hmm.
the tweets, but the Instagram story. I
Yeah.
saw the
Story.
Instagram story, and I was like, "What is Ja talking about?" And at the end of it was 4 posts. At the end, he said bye, and I'm like, "What, Ja? What's good with you? Like, are you like I'm sitting here like I don't know you personally, but I feel like I need to reach out, my boy. Like, are you straight? Because those are things that people say whenever they're on the road to self deletion.
Mm-hmm.
Because he shot out his sister, his mom, his dad, his daughter, and then he says bye. I'm just like, bro, like, what's good with you? And I just think he needs to find himself, man. Like, he literally needs. He said he went to rehab for that week. I don't believe he did, honestly. Me personally, this is just my opinion. Just going to
Neither
preface
of
that
us
with this is
do.
my opinion. I
Yeah.
don't think he actually went to rehab. I just think he took time away,
Yeah.
and which is cool. He took time to reflect, came back, balled out in the playoffs, and then went back to the same job that he was before rehab. And he
Mm-hmm.
just needs to actually just sit back and reflect, bro, and just kind of figure out exactly what he needs to do to be the best version of himself. Because right now, as we see through this story post and his actions, he's not the best version of himself right now. So you just need to figure that out. What you feel about Ja, bro?
I mean, so as far as the police going to check on him, I can understand why, especially with the climate that we in with mental health all over, not just America. All over the globe, people are having mental breakdowns and having issues with their self worth. So I
Mm-hmm.
can understand the police going to check on him, uh, but I in the same breath, I have an issue with the police going to check on him because Ja has a history, obviously, of being around guns, and we've
Mm-hmm.
seen this play out many times where the police go to check on something or do a routine stop or whatever, and it turns violent
Turn bad.
for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason. So and this is not to throw mud on the police or any officers of the law or anything like that. It's just what we've seen. It's facts, and it's not a black thing. It's not a white thing. It goes across all spectrums. We've seen these types of occurrences happen, and then it just turns bad. So I would rather a therapist have gone
Mm-hmm.
to see Ja accompanied by the police, but led by the therapist,
Mm-hmm.
or if the police have to go, then the therapist is tagging along and they're telling the police what to say to Jai, um,
Right.
to, to 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 gauge his mental health
Hmm.
currently. Because I mean, if anybody is going to be at the brink of a mental breakdown, it would more than likely be John Morant. You know,
Hmm.
he's been inflated to be this huge basketball player making ton of money. Now all of
Hmm.
a sudden you make one mistake, you lose $39 million. You make another mistake, the same mistake, but you make it again. Most of your endorsements, if not all, are taken away from you. You have the media talking about you. Everybody in the barbershop conversations are talking about you. Online, they're talking about you. You know, your inflation, you're now feeling a little bit deflated.
Hmm. Yeah.
So if anybody is, on the brink of a mental breakdown, it could more than likely be John Morant. And so I would rather, in instances like this, where the police were doing a good thing here, but
Yeah.
I would rather have seen a therapist go see Ja than the police to go see Ja.
See, what I do know about wellness checks is that if somebody is concerned about an individual, they will call 911 and say, "Hey, I want to perform a wellness check on this person,"
Right.
and the only person that goes there is the police.
Right.
But now they would be accompanied by a medical professional or like it's like a therapist, something like that. If they already had a therapist assigned to them, like they were already going through
Okay.
therapy classes and things of that nature, so that therapist would accompany the police department to perform that wellness check because they are technically their legal doctor at that point, and
Right.
they have client doctor privilege or whatever. If I don't think I'm saying that right, but you know what I mean.
No, you're right.
Yeah, so that's when. But I'm pretty sure that, and like I said, it's just my opinion. Ja didn't go through no therapy session, no rehab,
Hmm.
nothing like that. So I don't think he has a therapist assigned to him, which is
Hmm.
why the police were accompanied by themselves. And like you said, they're doing a good thing. We're just history most times repeats itself.
Hmm.
And over the past decade, there's been a lot of police brutality against the black community, and that's what the line is referring to. We don't want it to go left because we've seen it happen routinely over the past decade. So we don't want that that's something that we're worried about as a podcast, as a community.
Right.
But at the
And I
same time,
also, not to cut you off, but
go ahead.
let me get this in real quick. And
Yeah,
it's also that statement that I was making again. When I said it, I was not saying just a particularly black thing. Although we know that
yeah,
blacks are killed by police more often statistically than whites when it comes to police interactions.
hmm,
But I was saying it across the whole spectrum, and this was
yeah,
not pertaining strictly to Ja because more than likely, they're not going to do. They're going to make sure that they do everything to the book with handling Ja because of who Ja is.
of course, who Ja
But in
is, of course.
similar situations of somebody where they're going to do a wellness check that's not well known, and they have a history or been on the books for having you know guns around them, it could be completely different
Completely
situation.
different.
So
I
that's
agree.
all. That's all I was saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I didn't mean to misinterpret your words
Yeah.
or speak
Yeah. Yeah.
for you. I was just kind of adding my 2 cents to what you said. But he just needs to sit back and reflect on what he's got going on and and just look at what he has to lose. Because in the situations that he's putting himself in, that he's putting himself in, he's really the only person that has something to lose. His
Yep.
friends are along for the ride, bro.
Hmm.
They're along for the ride. They got John Morant, this $233 million man, which he won't be 233 anymore, but because his
Still making
contract
good
got
money.
still making good money. He's still in the hundreds of millions of dollars,
Right.
and they're just along for the ride with their homeboy John Morant,
Hmm.
and he needs to evaluate himself and and reevaluate his circle because something in there is throwing him off kilter, and he needs to make sure he brings that balance back because as of right now, Ja is just like D'Lo said. If it's anybody in the world right now that's on the verge of a mental breakdown, it's Ja because he has so much of a negative stigma around him right now because of his right to bear arms. He has the right to do that,
Right.
but because of who he is, we as a community, as the media, as the world, feel like Ja shouldn't be around that. And it's just the persona that he's putting off that's looked in a negative light. It ain't got nothing to do with him bearing the arms for real. Because I was listening to First Take the other day, and JJ Redick had a really good point as far as defending Ja Morant and his right to bear arms, because you can be pissed off at Ja Morant for him bearing arms and being in these lives with these guns because of who he is, but we got congressmen out here taking pictures with AKs. So who's really in the wrong? Because we really have like a war on guns right now, where it's like you have the right to bear arms, you can do these things, but certain communities are not are looked at in a negative light because they have guns, and Jai is in that community. So it's like, what is he to do? Like he thinks he's doing absolutely nothing wrong, but the media perceives him in a certain way, so they feel like he shouldn't be doing this. So it's
Yeah,
like, I mean, I kind of feel bad for Ja because he's just being the 23-year-old kid that he is, but he got to understand that he has much more to lose than your normal person, bro. Like
right,
even those congressmen, he's making more money than them congressmen,
right.
bar none, 100%. So
And
you have more to lose. Yeah.
yeah, and in the same breath, he has more of an impact to the youth than
Hmm.
those congressmen. Now, those congressmen are the one with the pens. They're the one that sign in laws and stuff like that. So ultimately, for the grand scheme of things, they make more of an impact. But to the
Hmm.
youth that watch sports and those individuals that are diehard fans, John Morant has more of an impact. So
Yeah.
yeah, you might have congressmen taking pictures with guns, but they also have a base that they are responsible to, that are for guns.
Hmm.
And then, as you said, the perception of John Morant and the culture that he's a part of, and that type of and having a gun is like, yeah, you
Hmm.
don't need you. We need to get him up out of here.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. So I'm praying for Ja. You know, I really hope that he really gets it together because he's a phenomenal basketball player. He's a phenomenal personality within the community, and like you said, he has such a influence on the young community now that he needs to be shot. He needs to be shining a little bit of a brighter light. Now, do I blame Ja for having the guns? Of course not. Absolutely not. But with his persona and what he portrays and what he means to his community, he's got to clean it up a little bit, and
Yeah,
he needs to sit back and reevaluate so that we can get it together.
yeah. And before we wrap this portion up, I have a question, and then I also have a statement.
What up? What
Uh,
up?
well, a statement, then a question. Luckily, after the wellness check, it was determined that everything is fine with Ja. He's just quote unquote taking a break from social media. So luckily, that was the only thing that came out of this. Hopefully, nothing. We don't hear anything crazy. I also don't think Ja is the type that will be mentally unstable, but I could be wrong. People put up great facades all the time. We've talked about it multiple times on this channel with the different mental health issues that we discuss. So like you said, praying for Ja. Hopefully, it is just him, announcing his break from social media, and it's nothing deeper than that. To go a little bit deeper and to make this topic a little bit more complex, do you think that we'll see more individuals use mental health as a scapegoat to
Hmm.
not take accountability for the things that they do? And again, not saying that that is what Jai is doing, but when you look at this mental health aspect and this situation as a whole, it could be seen as Jai is trying to take the mental health route to not take himself accountability, not hold himself accountable for his actions, even though he said multiple times that he takes full responsibility for his actions. But can you see more individuals doing this down the line? Because I think I do,
Hmm.
and that's the unfortunate part about it, is
Yeah.
when something is out there, as people being sensitive to it, people being more understanding, inevitably somebody will take advantage of that.
Right. I mean, unfortunately, I can see it, but I would hope that, you know, moving forward, people are a little bit more smart and understand what mental health means to the
Hmm.
community because you can you know it's like the boy that cried wolf. If
Right.
you do something bad and you blame it on mental health and you keep doing it, the people who actually need the help or who are actually going through mental health issues are looked at a little bit less, and they don't get the help that they need because so many people have cried wolf so many times. And
Right.
so I would hope that the people wouldn't do that. I would think they would be smart enough as a community. We would be smart enough as a community not to,
Mhm.
but I can see it happening because it's one of those things where a lot of the world, a lot of the nation is looking more into people's mental health, especially men in general, because it needs to be focused on because mental health is so impactful. It's something that needs to be studied and it's something that needs to be talked about
Mhm.
because you know it's huge. We need to make sure that everybody is okay, but at the same time, if you're blaming things on mental health because you don't want to take accountability for your actions, that's hurting people that actually need the help. So let's not do that. But I can
Yep.
see it happening. I can definitely see it happening.
I definitely could see it happening, and I would hope that we don't see it. But like I said, people find ways to take people others' kindness for
For
weakness and
weakness,
use
yep.
that against them. So I don't know. I don't know, but I fully expect for that to happen, for somebody to use mental health as a scapegoat. But hey, we can only report what we see and discuss it. And if it happens, we'll talk about it here on Too Complex.
Thank you for watching this video. If you've made it this far, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that notification bell so you miss none of the content. Also, you can find us on all these streaming platforms, wherever you find your podcasts.